Hello again, Alan here, storyteller. We're outside again, in a little wood. We're going to pretend it's a forest. I know that all of you have either got or have had a teddy bear, and your teddy bear has a smiley face and a little stumpy tail. Well, that wasn't always the case. You see, a long time ago, when all the animals could speak, oh yes, the bear had very long tail, even longer than my hair, and it dragged on the floor. And you can imagine dragging on the floor, and he didn't wash it, and he didn't comb it. Well, it dragged in all sorts of things, but nobody dared tell him. And he was miserable and mean and grumpy. And he would go along and he would say to a little rabbit, "Oi rabbit, do you like my tail?" Yes, I love your tail there. It's fantastic, it's really nice, yes, it's great." Because he was afraid if he wasn't nice to the bear might pick him up and eat him. And all the animals were scared of bear, except one. Only one. And he wasn't a giant animal. He wasn't a fierce animal. It was the fox. And the fox always had a smile. And he had a beautiful tail. Oh yes, long golden brown with a white tip. And he combed it every day and he washed it twice a week. And when the bear said, "Oi fox, do you like my tail?" "No, I don't like your tail." "What?" "No, because it's manky and dirty, you don't look after it, and it smells of poo." "What? I'm gonna get you for that." And he chased after the fox, but the fox was too quick and ran away. In the springtime and the summer and the autumn, all the animals were happy. Even the bear was less grumpy because there was lots of food about. Trees were full of leaves and berries and other fruits, and there were insects and little grasses. But in the winter, when the leaves had fallen from the trees and the berries were no longer there, and the land was covered with snow, and the rivers and lakes were covered with ice, everybody was worried, and everybody was hungry, and the bear was hungriest of all. When there was lots of food around, nobody had a problem. Unfortunately, when there's no food around, everybody gets worried. Will I have enough to feed my children? Will I have enough to feed myself? And all the animals were very hungry. Except, of course, the fox. You see, the fox had a secret. I'm going to tell you that secret now, but you must promise never to tell anyone else, because it's the fox's secret. Do you promise? Thank you. Now I'm going to tell you about the fox's secret, which you promised to keep, don't forget. You see, the water behind me in the winter is frozen solid with ice. And the fox would take a walk along the riverbank and make a small hole in the ice and sit there, waiting patiently. Well, of course, eventually a fish would pop his head out and say, "Hello, who are you?" "I'm the fox." "Oh, what are you doing?" "Well, I'm just sitting here minding my own business." "Are you not cold?" "Oh, no, I've got my lovely tail to keep me warm." "Oh." And then they would chat. They would talk about the weather and how cold it was and where they'd been on holiday, and then the fox would play his little trick. "What's that over there?" As soon as the fish turned round. And that's how he got fed in the winter. He would do that 2 or 3 times a day. But you've promised to keep a secret, haven't you? When you're hungry, your belly rumbles. The bear's belly is big. And it doesn't so much rumble as play a tune. And he was rumbling so much He couldn't even sneak up on animals to eat them. He was sneaking away. Just about to pounce, and his belly started to rumble. And they ran away, and the bear stayed hungry. The bear spotted the fox. "Oi, fox! How come you're never hungry and the rest of us are, especially in the winter?" "Well, that's my secret." "Go on, tell me your secret. I'll be your friend," said the fox. "Why would I want to be your friend? You're mean and you're horrible. And your tail smells of poo." "It does not smell of poo. I'll get you. But the fox was too quick and ran away again. But eventually the bear had an idea. And he said, "If you show me how to get food in the winter, I'll promise I won't eat you." The fox laughed. "You've got to catch me first, and you can't catch me." "Aye, but I promise on the forest code." Now that's very different. You see, if you make a promise on the forest code, you have to keep it. Otherwise, you are sent away and not allowed to come back ever again. Not even to see your mum and dad. And all the animals knew this. So the fox agreed, and off they went deep into the woods, right into the heart, to find the owl. You see, the owl was old and wise, and he was the only one who was allowed to sanction a promise on the forest code. "Are you sure you know the way?" Yes, I've been here before." "How many promises have you made?" "Well, none, but I know where the owl lives." "Oh, I'm getting hungry." "You're always hungry." "Oh, where is he?" "Ah, not far now." So once they'd found the tree where Owl lived, they shouted him. The fox shouted from the bottom, "Owl, hello, Owl." But of course it was daytime, and the owl sleeps at the day and hunts at night, and he was asleep in his tree. No matter how much Fox shouted, the owl stayed firmly asleep. Eventually, Bear had enough, and taking his great paws, he grabbed the tree trunk and shook with all his might. The owl was woken with a start and a shock. "What's going on? Oh my goodness me!" And he held on with both wings. Oh, stop it. Oh. "Really sorry about that," said the fox. "We've come to make a promise on the forest code." "Have you really? Well, please stop shaking the tree. I'm falling out, you know." "Well, get down here," said the bear, very grumpily. "I'm getting hungry." The owl flew down. The owl looked at them very sternly. "Now what's this promise you're going to make that requires me to be awake during the daytime?" And the fox spoke and said, "Well, I'm going to promise to show the bear how to get food in the winter, and he's going to promise not to eat me." "Oh, well, that sounds like a very good promise. Very well. Fox, raise your paw." And the fox raised his paw. "Do you promise on the forest code to show Bear how to get food in the winter if he promises not to eat you?" "I promise on the forest code." "Very good." "Bear, get on with it." "You're very rude. Raise your paw." "I'm getting hungry." But he raised his paw. "Bear, do you promise not to eat the fox if he promises to show you how to get food in the winter?" "I promise on the forest code. Now get on with it." Shake paws." They shook paws. the bear and the fox together. The owl put his wing over both paws and said in a very solemn voice, "A promise has been made, and the promise has been given. Whoever shall break this promise shall be banished from the forest forever. Now go away and let me get some sleep." And he flew back up to his tree and moaned all the time. "You know, it's not very nice being woken up in the day when you're my age. I'm very old. I wish people wouldn't, at least, wouldn't." And soon he was fast asleep again. Now, remember the fox's secret that I told you about that you promised to keep? I'm afraid it's not quite what he told the bear. You see, when they went down to the river, which was frozen with ice, he said, "Right, what do we do?" "Well, what you have to do is to make a small hole in the ice." And the bear looked at the ice and stamped. "Ugh! No, a small hole. Never mind, never mind." "Well, what do I do now?" "Then you take your tail and you drop it through the hole in the ice." "My lovely tail?" "Your tail that smells of poo." "It does not smell of poo, and I'm warning you if you say it again. Oh, I've made me promise and I can't eat you now. It's a good job. You're very lucky." Well, what you do, you put it in the ice and you wiggle it about. And the fish think it's something to eat. So they grab your tail. As soon as you feel that the fish is on your tail, you whip your tail out and eat the fish. "Oh, that's a good idea. I don't need you anymore." And with that, he picked the fox up by his ears and threw him across the ice. And the poor fox landed into a tree. But he sat and he waited. Now, even though the bear is a huge animal covered with fur, sitting on the ice for 2 hours is very, very cold. "Are you sure that's what we do?" "Oh, yes, yes," said the fox from the bank. But eventually, the bear fell asleep, and his snores echoed across the forest. When the fox was certain that the bear was completely asleep, he shouted, "Bear, there's a fish on your tail!" And the bear jumped up with a start, and he grabbed his tail. And of course, by now, it was icy cold and solid like an icicle. He snatched his tail and it broke off in his hand. "Oh, ah!" he screamed. And "oh, my bottom! Ow, oh, ow, 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 ow." Well, of course, the fox was laughing. Oh my goodness. "Ah! Oh, he was laughing so much the bear nearly caught him. "I'll teach you, I'll get you for that." But of course, the fox was too quick, and once again he ran away. And that's how the bear lost his tail. And of course, from then on, he did change. He was never perfect, but he realised that if you are mean to people, and he was, wasn't he? Sooner or later, somebody will be mean to you. As for the fox, well, of course, he'd broken his promise, so he was sent away, never allowed to return. Besides which, if he did come back, the chances are that might end up on the bear's dinner table. He wouldn't want that now, would he? Thanks for listening. Well, I hope you liked the story. Thanks for listening. Today we've got a few words that you might want to learn to spell. First of all, we're going to start with bear, because of course the story was about the bear. And who was his arch enemy? The fox. Both of them had a lovely tail. They went to make a promise on the forest code by speaking to the owl. When the animals were happy, it was because it was spring or summer or autumn. But not so much in the winter. Because in the winter, the ground was covered with snow, and the lakes and the rivers were covered with ice.